Hello darlings, so this is going to be a video for Patreon and also a catch up for YouTube because I haven't been around for the past 2 weeks, so I wanted to come back and say hello. I'm sorry, but always juggling everything going on. Last week I nearly lost Honey. She had a uterus infection and freaked me out a bit because I had to go back to the famous vet where I lost Happy, and I lost Happy, as you know, when Notre Dame fell in 2019, and then it was on Easter Day, and Easter Day was on the 21st of April 2019, and my son's 33rd birthday was the 19th. And this time it happened again on a bank holiday, and it happened on the 2nd of November, which is my daughter's 33rd birthday. So I thought there was something going on. I was going to lose Honey, and it was a very difficult week. And I had a young boy who was the son of the other vets, and I said, look, this is what happened the last time she came to this vet, because she had been induced in an epileptic fit too, and she survived. And then a few weeks later it happened to Happy. She was like a test, but they took her very far. I wasn't there either time. She was filmed in complete epileptic fit, and she never really recovered. She's had a bad heart ever since, and the vet was worried because of her age and her very weak heart that she wouldn't survive the operation. And she's absolutely fine, so I'm delighted. And now I'm back. I've been busy. We've had a lot going on, but we're going to quickly recap from the last time I came to YouTube. And the last time I came to YouTube, I did this video, the black work, the gates into Lilith, Salt, the Call Dida, and it was all about, this is what I did. It was all about the black work, and it was about this machine à rêver, this exhibition that was worldwide. And this is it here. It was the descent into hell. And we've got the black spider, we've got Lilith, and we've got the bull, which is basically, as I explained in that video, showing you the three works: the white work, the red work, and the black work, and the gates into the black work. So the day after that finished on the 27th. So I was showing you it went on for the 25th, the 26th, and the 27th of October. So this happened in Toulouse. Attention, the company La Machine is preparing to take over the city centre of Toulouse again this weekend from Friday to Sunday. The opus 2 of its flamboyant show, The Guardian of the Temple, the door to the underworld, will deploy its 3 acts with a mastery in the streets of the city. A very large-scale event which cost 4.7 million euros to Toulouse Metropole and should bring together nearly 1 million people. We are in the extraordinary and exceptional investment spread over 6 years, which will strengthen the attractiveness of Toulouse. So Toulouse is going to be the new space center of France. I've covered Toulouse a lot, and the last time, this is Machine 2, the last time they had this event was in 2018, and I covered all that in the last video. So what then happened, so here's Lilith, the spider, and I explained all this in the last video. So then what happened is the day after, on the 29th, we had the floods in Valencia. So they happened on Tuesday the 29th, just after the closing of this. And Valencia means Valentine. Valencia is the feminine version of Valentine. So all this has been covered in Patreon. I'm just doing a quick run over because, you know, if you're not following on Patreon, it's difficult to keep up. So that was for the elections. That was my prediction for the elections. V for Vendetta, Salome. Okay, so so I did that on the day of the floods, before I knew about the floods. And as I explained in that video, I said that I felt that Trump was going to win, but that something was going to happen. And then we asked the cards, and it shows this Queen of Cups in the middle, which is very much this energy of Lilith and everything that I've been talking about. So we covered the whole month of November. That was that. And then I did another video which was just after the floods, and that was, yeah, so this is, so you see, yeah, that was for the first quarter moon after the new moon. So since I've spoken to you, we had a new moon on, we had the new moon on the 1st of November, just in Libra. So we'll come to that in a minute. But this was talking about that new moon, and I was explaining Cupid and Valentine. Valencia is Valentine, and now we then had a second floods in Catalonia. I told you about Vicky Cristina Barcelona. We had Valencia, Catalonia, VC, from CV to VC, and they show you the corrida. The corrida is the bullfight, and it's the corridor. And what do we see? We see the corridors, the impasse, the passage of cars, Mercury, Cupid. The floods happened on the day that Mars went into Cancer. The moon rules Cancer, and this was the day before the new moon, as the new moon was in Libra, in the home of Venus. So this is a show that was in Valencia. So Valencia is 39-0. It's the closing of the wheel, that 39, 369, 360, 39. It's northwest. So this is Valencia herself, and she was set on fire. And in Valencia, they have Apollo from Pinodo. So again, this is always the the Apollo god, which is the Cupid, which is the hearts. So Valentia meaning strength, and is also a form of the Roman names Valentus and Valentina. So Valentine's Day, this is Valencia. Valentine's Day is the famous day that we have coming up, the return of Mars and Jupiter where they were for the Caroline floods, as I keep explaining to you. So 25, the second month, February. The 13th, the day of the floods that I lived in New Zealand. And there we're going to have Mars on top of Sirius and Jupiter on top of Aldebaran, exactly as they were for the 26th of September. Pretty sure that was the date. There we had Mars on Sirius, and we had Jupiter. He wasn't completely on Aldebaran, but he goes back, and then he'll move forward again. So yeah, he was there, and now he's going to move back for the floods. For the Valentine's Day, he's going back onto that bullseye, onto the eye of the apple, the eye of the apple. So let's go and see these floods. So the date of the floods, the 29th of October. 29th of October, we had Mars just entering into Cancer. Mars is in full in Cancer, and Pluto is opposite in Capricorn. So Saturn rules Capricorn and the moon rules Cancer. Saturn is still making his square. Saturn, by the way, is going to be moving forward for this coming full moon on the 15th. We're going to be talking about that. But Mars rules Scorpio. So Mars had entered Cancer on the night of the floods, and Mars rules Scorpio. And Scorpio is where we had Venus, the ruler of Taurus, and the ruler of Libra, where the sun was about to enter. So the sun was just still in Virgo, the home of Mercury, and Mercury was in Libra. The moon for the 29th. So actually, we then had the day after, we had all that period, we had the moon in Virgo. And then for Halloween, we had the moon on Spica. So Mars, I think that he wasn't quite actually in Cancer on the 29th. Just moved that night. He moved that night at midnight into Cancer. So Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, where we have Venus, the ruler of Taurus, where Jupiter and Uranus are, and Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, where the sun was, and the moon. And then we had the day after, we had the new moon in Libra. So let's just have a quick look at that here. So for that night of the floods, we had the moon conjunct to south nodes, opposite the north node in Pisces. Jupiter rules Pisces. Jupiter is in the home of Taurus, and Jupiter is opposite Venus on this axis of the Holy Grail, on this axis of Mars and Venus, on this axis that will give us eventually the new MC should be Scorpio, and the IC should be Taurus. But we've got Uranus spending 7 years. He's on ALGOL, and it's always this Mars and Venus. Mars rules Aries, Mars rules Scorpio, Venus rules Taurus, Venus rules Libra. So Mars and Venus, Mercury and Jupiter, they don't have a place in these, although Mars works with Jupiter for the top of the Kabbalah tree, and Venus and Mercury work together for the bottom. And as you know, we've got Mars and Jupiter in the home of Mercury and Venus. So Mars is now in Cancer, but he's about to go retrograde on the 6th of December to come home to Gemini to make his journey home. He'll go from Cancer and then he'll come back to Gemini, and Jupiter is in the home of Venus. So Jupiter and Mars, they rule the gates to Ophiuchus, the 13th sign. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Mars rules Scorpio. So Mars and Jupiter rule each side of the Milky Way gap to the 13th sign, and on the other side too, we've got Venus and Mercury that rule the gates to Orion, the tip of the Milky Way. Okay, so basically back to now. Let's go back to now. So today, so we had the elections the 5th of November. Remember, vengeance is a dish best served cold. The corrida de Taurus is angry. The Spanish coast from Valencia to Catalonia have been flooded with extreme severity, mercifully. Their cars, Mercury, swept in corridors by the raging Taurus. Possessions, Taurus, homes, Cancer, swept away. The moon is exalted in Taurus. All this as Mars stepped into the house of the moon, Cancer. As I've explained, we've been flipped from CV, Corona, Virus, Corona, Victor. 2, Valentine and Cupid, Vicky, Christina, Valencia, Catalonia. BC, before Christ, Barcelona. During the elections, Mercury moved into Scorpio. Vendetta is Scorpio. Mercury in Scorpio for the next 2 months, because Mercury, so let's go to then we then had on the 3rd, we had more floods. We had more floods as Mercury entered Scorpio on 3/11. Then we had at the airport of Barcelona, particularly, so that's to do with Saturn, air, we had all the parking. So Scorpio is underground, it's the metro, it's the parking lots. Mercury into Scorpio, underground, parking, cars. And here we've got Mercury just moving into Scorpio. Yeah, he was on that very night moving. So Mars, when Mars went into Cancer, Valencia, and when Mercury went into Scorpio, we had the floods in Catalonia. So Venus is still in Scorpio, Mars is in Cancer, and then we have the elections on the 5th. So I've gone into that, and I've explained that this is that energy of vengeance. I'll finish reading here. So during the elections, Mercury moved into Scorpio. Vendetta is Scorpio. Mercury in Scorpio for the next 2 months will go retrograde from the 25th of November to December the 15th. Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, will go retro 2 days before Paris rises Notre Dame. So on the 6th, Mars goes retro in Cancer, and on the 25th, 2 days after the last quarter moon, we have Mercury going retrograde in Scorpio. So 2 days before Paris rises Notre Dame, on the 8th, Esmeralda and her hunchback. So I had a chat with Alana. We did a video for Patreon, and we spoke about this special star, Eurybates. And Eurybates is spoken of, the herald of Odysseus, who followed his master to Troy. He is humorously described as a humpback of a brown complexion and with curly hair. But he was honored by his master since he was kind and obedient. So Eurybates is very much this hunchback. Esmeralda is in the energy of Kamala. And we've got this hero, we've got the musketeer in the middle. So again, so here we've got, Vicky, Christina. I've been talking about Barcelona, and then what happens? The flooding happens there. Scarlett Johansson also played Lucy in Lucifer. And what has the Vatican just risen? This is all Alana telling me about this. The Catholic Church has unveiled the mascot for its upcoming 2025 Jubilee Holy Year. So we were looking at Eurybates, this asteroid in all of their charts where their hunchback is. So in Trump's chart, in Harris's chart. I can't go over everything. You will please just come and join us on Patreon. That would be great. So then we pulled cards. It was all very interesting. So looking at that chart again of Valencia, look, we had Uranus bang opposite Mercury. Mercury was not quite in Scorpio. He was in Libra. He was in the home of Venus. And the sun is in full in Libra, and the moon was square to Mercury, the moon that rules Cancer, where Mars was aggression. Mars was making a square to Venus in detriment. So both Mars are in detriment and full in Scorpio. And there you see Venus in detriment, Mars in full. And the sun the sun is in full as well. So, you know, that was the force. And then we've got Venus, you know, Venus in the water. That's really plumbing the waterworks, the mud floods, the mud, Uranus in Earth, in Taurus. And, you know, the Pluto, bang, opposite. And it's always the same thing. This is people going missing. This is all what happened with the time of Nicola Bulley when I was in New Zealand. Nobody's warned, nobody's told. It's always at night when everybody's sleeping. And there are many more people missing than we are told. And the numbers were very telling. I went over that. It was 95, which makes 15. And we had, as I had told you, we had Macron, who'd gone to Morocco at the same time as this event going on in Toulouse with the big torso, the big Taurus, the big Api bull god. He was in Morocco, so he was with Mohammed the King, which is V1, the 6th. And we've got the King of Spain, Philip, V1, makes the 6. And Macron is pushing for the 6th Republic, 666. And 666 is your Trump Tower, and 666 is 216, which is the summer solstice, and it is the gap between Taurus and Gemini, the Milky Way gap, and between Scorpio and Sagittarius. So during the elections, the moon passed from Scorpio to Sagittarius. And then for the final, for the elections, we had the moon on the dart into Scorpio. And, you know, I have covered all their charts. I've covered all their charts in my Patreon. And yeah, I did. It was all very deep. You can buy what I've done on Patreon for €5, which is about £3. Okay. So yeah, there we have the moon moved into Sagittarius. Venus was still in Scorpio in full detriment, the ruler of Taurus, where Jupiter is retrograde, and the ruler of Libra, where the sun is. And now we've got Mercury that is fully in Scorpio, right on the claw. So this energy is, you know, it's secret, it's tricks going on, it's revenge. And this is the energy of Europe and rising this woman. So as soon as Trump won, the anti-Trump hate was spread, especially in France. You've got Madonna coming up, talking about that she's worried about the safety of her twins. I don't know what this has got to do with it. So you've got Madonna, Virgo, the Madonna, who should be with her baby Mercury child. She's now, we've got, instead of Pollux and Castor, we've got her two twin girls. And, you know, there she's showing you, you know, she's bringing all this, she's bringing forward this energy of out of Africa. And that's what Macron was doing in North Africa. And if you listen to my last video, that's what I was talking about, this North African energy. Or maybe it wasn't one I did for YouTube, but I was talking about what I felt was going to happen with these elections, that I had felt that Trump was going to win, but my cards are talking about, you know, the true energy is rising, is bringing up Kamala. She's bringing up this scorpion energy, Esmeralda of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. So this is the election chart. So for the election chart, we still had Jupiter opposite Venus. We had Mars, so we've got Venus again in detriment, the ruler of Taurus, and we've got Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, in full. We've got a lot of water energy, a lot of, you know, water and fire are always the extreme They're always the extreme to take our attention off that middle energy. Saturn is standing in the middle in Aquarius, and that energy after 5 months of him going retrograde is getting ready. This is very much what the floods was talking about, because they want revolution. The Spanish are very, very angry now against the royalty. I saw something in the newspapers this morning about talking about the English public going up against William and Charles and the amount of money in the royal. So this is the energy coming up for the last quarter moon. We're going to have in Leo, we'll see that, but the full moon is just going to be in the Aries Libra opposition, which is very Charles, Prince King Charles. He's got his sun in Libra and his moon in Aries, exactly where the full moon is going to be. So that you can see for those elections. There's the moon in Sagittarius, Pluto opposite Mars, Mars in the private realm, the people, the moon, the ruler was then in Sagittarius, looking for the hero. That is very much the Elon Musk in D'Artagnan. And Pluto opposite in the public realm, the government opposing the people are very upset. And we've got ready for that rebel energy to come through with the full moon coming up. When Saturn moves forward, he's going to be bringing forward that absolute rebel energy as Uranus as well is making an opposition to Mercury in Scorpio still for the 5th of November. And then let's move to coming up. So then we had the first quarter moon. That was 2 days ago, 9/11. So 9/11, we had opposition Venus, Jupiter, opposition Mars, Pluto still. The Sun was then opposite to Uranus, and the Moon was square to the Sun. So the Moon was in full in Capricorn. The Moon rules Cancer, where Mars is, and Mars is normally exalted in Capricorn, and we've got this, still got this Pluto and Mars. So it really is about this is the lower what? This is the floor of Ida. This is the lowest realm. This is why Trump is talking about he's going to get rid of fluoride. That's just Florida again. It's the floor of Ida. It's the bottom black works. It's the fertility. It's the water. And this is very much to do with all these floods. So we've got a finger of Yod, finger of God, a Yod, pointing from Jupiter to the Sun, and from Chiron to the Sun, with this little sextile between Jupiter and Chiron, the wound. So that wound is really pointing against the Sun that rules Leo. And where we're going to have for the last quarter moon, we're going to have the Moon. So I've been covering the chart of Elon Musk as well. Check out his chart, put transitions. So he's got Mars exalted in Capricorn. So Mars going retrograde is happening right. It's going to be happening. His Mars is going to go up to his south node. It's got Mars next to his north node. It's going to go retrograde. It's going to go back to his Mercury right on Sirius, on his rising. He is in this gap, and we've got Jupiter also working in this gap. So you can see that Elon Musk's role is going to become more and more. Something may happen to Trump, and then Elon Musk will really start to play this role of the musketeer, of Jupiter playing the Starlink, when the true Starlink astrologer is Saturn. So there you see he's got Moon in Leo, and that's where we're going to have, and he's got his Moon making, so I was talking about that, Saturn in Taurus. So Saturn in Taurus is either really the vice of avarice, really greedy, really ready to get whatever you want, or somebody very humble who's known real poverty and who wants to reject possessions and money completely, or it can bring out really the worst. And so you see he's very, very earthy, very material, earthy, and then this quirky logic, Gemini, commercial, and then Scorpio, Jupiter and Scorpio, making money. He's born with an opposition of Jupiter and Saturn, and Saturn, where Uranus is. Yeah, and he's got Venus right on the wand of Merlin, right in that gap. Okay. So let's look at the full moon. Full moon. So this is what we've got coming up on the 15th. We have got the moon conjunct to Uranus, opposite the sun, just in the last degree of Aries, the last degree of Libra. Let's look at it here. Let's just check the time. 10:28, the 15th of November. So this is the Devil cards. That's in the evening. It's PM, 10:28 PM. Okay. So Sun, Libra, Moon, Aries. Moon right under ALGOL and right conjunct, literally combust to, not combust, but conjunct to Uranus. So Uranus is going retrograde. The moon is still in Aries, and that's anger. This is the full moon. The full moon is going to expose this raging bull, this anger, and that's what this post was about. This post was about this raging bull, Lilith, the corridors, the corridors. So I've been telling you about the coriander, the body of Ida, the flesh of Ida, and red and yellow makes orange is the new black. So you see, they show you all the time these corridor. It's the bull, it's the raging bull. RB, red, blue, it's the torso fields. To rise the green gods, to rise this Lucifer, Lucy, she's called Lucy, Vatican girl Lucy, the Holy Year mascot. She's a ninja, she's a manga. That was for the floods, and then that's what we're looking at now. We're looking at this. So you've got Tin, Taureau. So Tin is Jupiter, Taureau, and Jupiter is in Taurus. Tin, Taurina. They show you Jupiter in Taurus, Jupiter in the home of Venus, and Mercury is in the home of Mars, currently in Scorpio. There you've got Apollo, Cupid, and that's what we've got. We're looking at right now, the moon conjunct Uranus for this full moon. Okay, so let's have a look here. Okay, so this full moon, Mercury in Scorpio, Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, and Venus in Sagittarius, and Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. So that Venus is it's going to be more, there's going to be more of that passion and rebel energy as Venus comes out into this mutable masculine fire. Venus making a semi-square to that south node. Mercury is the ruler and Mercury is in Scorpio. We've still got the Pluto. We've still got the Pluto Mars opposition, but the big thing is that Saturn is about to move forward, and Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, where we've got Pluto. So Pluto, government, people, Cancer, moon rules Cancer. This is a full moon, and the moon is next to Uranus. And this, this Jupiter is on top. If we look at the chart of, let's look at the chart of Trump. Let's put the transitions. So this is Trump's chart with the transitions of the full moon that we're about to have. So we can see that Uranus is just entering his 10th house. So this is about him becoming president. There's a lot of connections between 2016 and now, but I think I've covered all that in detail in Patreon. So Jupiter is on top of his Uranus, and so we don't have the right time. So the moon for the full moon, the moon is going to be just on the cusp of his 10th house. So the cusp of his 10th house is almost just kind of ruled by Mars, or is it Venus? It's just Venus, but Aries is just at the end of that cusp, and Saturn moving forward is going to be moving forward not opposite his, whereas he's got his Mars at 2 Leo, so that's not really an opposition with Saturn here. Jupiter, it doesn't look, like he would be protected with Jupiter on top of his Uranus here. Though he is born with moon in Scorpio, and we've got Pallas just on top of his moon. He's got Saturn conjunct to Venus. So, Mars is going to be going retrograde right over his Saturn, and Venus and Saturn is moving forward. So, it looks like an attack from a female, from the female energy. And he's born like Elon Musk with Mercury in Gemini, and Mercury is going to be in Scorpio about to go retrograde. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it's happening in his private realm. Still, he's in his water house. He's got North Node in his 8th house. Jupiter rules his 8th house of death. Saturn just opens that door maybe, and Saturn is about to move forward, and Jupiter is on his Uranus. Okay, so basically I think that I don't really see something happening to Trump for the full moon. I think that the more that Trump And Russia, you know, that is the Cairo between Canada, Alaska and Russia, CR, and Kamala brings more and more this connection between joining Africa with the Spain and making this the connection with bringing up this Notre Dame. You know, it's all about bringing up Notre Dame on the 8th and bringing up the Esmeralda, this, you know, the energy of this woman, and Trump keeping this America to, you know, to really make Saturn the enemy. America has to become the enemy with Capricorn, North-South America, and then on the other side we've got Europe and Africa joining. So back to the full moon, Saturn moving forwards just at the same time as the moon, just exactly on that time of the full moon, we have Saturn moving forward. So we're going to start to see the end of this square between them both. And then let's move to the last quarter. So the last quarter, we have got the moon in Leo. So the moon in Leo, this is making a square to Uranus on ALGOL and making a square to the sun in Scorpio. So Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, is still in Cancer. There's actually quite a nice connection. There's a grand trine between Mars, the North Node in Pisces, and the Sun. So there is this, you know, there could be that's, you know, more very water, and Venus, the ruler, now in Sagittarius. Pluto still making his opposition to Mars. Mercury now opposing Jupiter. So we've got Mercury and Jupiter in the home of Venus and Mars. And Venus now is in Sagittarius. So this is much more. This is, you know, quite, there's stuff rising in Spain. And we've got Venus making a square to the moon, the people. So, you know, this is very revolution energy is coming in, not so much for the full moon that will begin, but there will begin to be an outlet, which is what they want. You know, and just this whole hate energy that they're trying to focus people on. Mercury square to Neptune. So what was I saying here? Mutual reception, Mars in the home of the moon and moon in the home of Mars. That was for the full moon. So we've got, that is for the full moon mutual reception here. So yeah, for the full moon, this is important. We've got the moon in Aries, ruled by Mars, and we've got Mars in the home of the moon. So that is very emotional. As I say here, mutual reception, Mars in the home of the moon and moon in the home of Mars. Mars is in fall in Cancer. Mars is incredibly emotional in Cancer and protective of their home. Mars is directly opposite Pluto, the subconscious mind, in the government Capricorn. So the people oppose the authority in a rebellious fashion, Uranus. Last quarter moon on the 23rd of November, 2 days before Mercury goes retrograde. Moon now in Leo, the Lion King, square to Uranus in Taurus and to Sun now in Scorpio. Mars, ruler of Scorpio, making a grand trine to North Node in Pisces and Sun in Scorpio. The energy of Ida, the floor, the fluoride, the floor of Ida is rising. She, Lilith, the black work, is gaining in popularity, and the whole world will be screaming anti-royalty, from the King of Spain to the Trump administration, and the rise of Lucy, her Notre Dame takes her place. Revolution and division is rising, and it's all part of the plan. Okay. So since last YouTube video, the night before the storms, I'm talking about Storm of Dan, a Tribe of Dan, Holy Grail, Chaos Spain. So they were showing the big Grail in El Ejido, and that was at 3677 North. So that was before we'd found out about Valencia. They were already talking about the Grail that was coming, and the storm is of course called Dana, Tribe of Dan. So I've covered all that in my Patreon, and then we start to see just those corridors, everything I've been talking about, the coriander, the corridor. Then you've got this red and yellow showing us orange is the new black, and then 95 was the official amount they told us deads. And this is preparation for the full moon coming up. So you've got Philip V1, which is the 6 Cupid, the lovers. So the tarot card, the devil card is XV, and the lover card is V16. Heart or lead, and Macron was in Morocco. Crocodile Nile line with Mohammed, V16, that makes 666. France will become the Sixth Republic, from France, Spain to Morocco, Nile line, Api, Pomme d'Api, the bull god. So they were together the same time. Got the Tree of Life there, always showing us the 5-pointed star of Morocco, red and green flag, which is Mercury and Venus. We've got the Noddy hat, the liberty, equality, fraternité. We had the moon on Spica for the floods, the wheat, the fertility. And again, I'm showing, so there you've got the devil, the lover cards, Spain floods, and we have, so fall equinox 9/22 is now moved a month after, so we've almost got Taurus here, Gemini, we've got that gap running between America and Europe. So there's Philippe, he's got his Bourbon, which is the bee, it's the black bee, it's the House of Bourbon. And there we had, so they actually had in the newspapers, look, they've got this, they actually had in the newspapers the black work on the, saying that the sewers and, you know, the vile, the rotting and the risk of disease. So the poutre, the Putin. Wait. So I was just showing all those pictures again, because that is exactly what happened. Jordan River, don't forget we had the motorway closed from the Isle of Jourdain, from Gimont, and now where did we just had the floods in Girona, Girona in Spain. So there's the Croco, Morocco. That is the great Paradise, not Paradise Lost, the Dante. So there's your Zorro, and that is the same as in Vendetta, V for Vendetta, Guy Fawkes Day, 5th of November. So in a way, it's just Gemini, it's Valentine and Cupid's. It's Jupiter and Mercury, Valentine and Cupid's. The beginning and the end, the Dana, the floods, the Aleph Tav, and voila. I like this image. You see there's Ida, the florid floor of Ida, got the feminine and masculine pillar, and the middle pillar which connects Earth, Malkut, the black work, to Kether, the white work, and in the middle you have the red work. This, I've just found some great pages. This is just brilliant. Go and check this out, the Wisdom Archive. This guy I've just found, Paul Tisdale, unbelievable what he writes. That is exactly how I think. I've always said that the chemtrails was the St. Andrew's Cross, and the St. Andrew's Cross, which is the Scottish, but it's also Andrew Cross spider. So you've got the Andrew Cross spider, and you've also got cross with an E at the end. This guy, Andrew Cross, who discovered that you could make spiders, insects, and this is exactly what he's saying. So the spider and the cave, the signs of the times for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. I'm speaking to you in the language of the prophets, the language of the birds, hermit, Kabbalah. In the tarot is the star card, the card of hope. So this is Aquarius, so air, so to reach to this higher. Just you read that. That is, there is an old initiatic story, and it goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a child of the Egyptian royalty. He was proud and arrogant. He demanded a high initiate to show him how to become wise. The initiate said, "Your pride and arrogance are but fear and insecurity, blinding you from what you seek. This darkness you must face and overcome before the light of wisdom will grace you." The initiate took the boy to a mountain in the distance and overlooked the entire city. At the base of this mount was a cave. He said, "This cave is a passage to the summit. When the sun passes over, the passage will be lit, and you can find your way up." As the boy entered the cave, he became tangled in spider webs. Fear overtook him, and he ran out of the cave. The master said, "This fear is what your pride and arrogance hide. It can hide no more. Upon the tree of life, the cave is Bina, and the mountain Chokmah." So the two pillars. Understanding and wisdom. These two spheres are in what is called the supernal triad with Keter. The light above. To enter the supernal, one must cross what is called the great abyss, the spider's web. This sphere is called Dart, knowledge. Well, it's your D'Artagnan, you know, Dart is Pluto. It's the passage to get to the Trinity, to the top of the tree. The spider has 8 legs. The 8th sphere is Hod, the planet Mercury, often called mind, the trickster. Hod's key is honor. If one is honorable, the mind is stiller. It frees attachments of guilt, etc. One cannot pass through the abyss with all of those impurities. 8 is the Hebrew letter Chayat, the card of the chariot, Mekabah, that ascends the tree of life to arrive at the throne of God, Binah. Chayat is a container of unevolved cosmic energy. Let us consider it this way. The flame upon a candle devours the fat of the lamb. As it does this, the flame rises like the chariot. When risen, it enters the supernal, the light of enlightenment. Do not limit your awareness to the red hot burning upon the wick, for this is what is called hell. The white light above is heaven, or Lucifer, and the blue-black flame the white light sits upon is you devouring the worldly matter. Understanding it and becoming wise, the blue-black flame is the cave at the base of the mountain. So that's your blue star spiker. Light a candle and you will see the evolution of unevolved cosmic energy rises in consciousness as a chariot, evolving into light, enlightenment. This dynamic is contained in the salt of alchemy. So if you go and see Vicky Barcelona, there is the salts. Vicky Christina, Vicky, Christina, Barcelona. Just salt. So look, salt. So they are playing Mercury, sulfur, and salt, the triad, the trio, and at the end he talks about salt. So they're always talking about alchemy, always. Where the old form that contained the soul, sulfur, and spirit, Mercury, is burnt by fire until it is pure ash salt. Then it is married. So in the tree, in the three, salt, sulfur, Mercury, you've got the sulfur white, you've got the red Mercury, you've got the salt black, and when the fire, the spirit, that's why you don't have the yellow, and that's why this little Lucy, this mascot at the Vatican, she's dressed in yellow. That bring intuition, can be trusted, and the light that illumines the mind brings unattached reflections of what is, and we enter understanding. By applying this light, the light of enlightenment, we gain its wisdom. Observe the process of understanding within you. A light is turned on. As you digest, as food transmutes to energy, so too is understanding a transmutation. Here is a great key. The spider's web attaches to our attachments and beliefs and prevents us from realization. Entering the cave, the sage enters the cave to meditate and returns when enlightened. The lines in the sky called chemtrails, among other things, block the sun's light, the light above. Many see them but can't grasp what they are. Why would anyone do this, creating so much suffering? Why has no understanding, no light, and by this it cannot truly be seen. AI is of this vein as well. The portal of the abyss to the light of realization is guarded by a demon whose station is to keep the impure from the supernal, the perfected work. This demon has two names with the value of 3366. We can realize within in our mind. So 3 is salt, 6 is Mercury, 9 is the sulfur. We can realize within our mind. It is called by some gnosis. If we rely too much on external stimulation like the internet with its fact-checking, etc., we can easily lose sight of the inner light. Then we become sheep possessed by herd mentality and easily controlled. The spider and its web containing the world as its prey. Consider those who exploit nature and nature's people, etc. They entrap their prey in a web of their creation to satisfy their desires without regard of outcomes. Look at the webs of falsehood entrapping all who blindly come before them, selling you shit you don't want. Higher consciousness requires strength and discipline. Be in the world, but not of it. Remember that. So very good. I found this man, and if you go and look on YouTube, I've just fallen on his work and blow your mind. It's everything I've been studying. He speaks exactly like my teacher, but it's in English. So just incredible. Okay, so what else should we look at? Yeah, that's my chart that I cover. It's a chat for Patreon we had. This is what you get in readings. In a natal reading, I do a written report and I draw a picture of your chakra system. So that was the results I did. And this post disappeared from my timeline without a trace. A front page newspaper today, the alembic, the green line, La N, the school bag, the child's feet on the floor, Florida, the black work, Mercury, Venus rising, in between the red, blue, bull, torso, Torah. So Mars, the alembic is an alchemical still consisting of 2 vessels connected by a tube. So on the front page of the newspapers, when was that? That was the 5th of November, the 5th of November. So how to protect the school, Mercury, the school bag. There's the green line in the middle of the torso field. And there we've got the feet, Hermes, the Mercury and Venus. It's your red and green that we see with the Moroccan flag. Some red and green, the 5-pointed star. It's the alchemical marriage and the green line. And there we had in the newspapers, the alembic. Everything is alchemy. So they also bring in this man who makes iron bulls in my region. And there you've got the blue, red, green and blue, red. And again, okay. So we had this guy who is Persian, The Apprentice, that has just come out. It had an award in Cannes. So the app Rent Ice, the Big Apple. So it's all about the early days in New York, directed by Ali Abbasi. The app Ab, Summer Solstice Gap, 216 BP, Yin Yang, the Philosopher's Stone, Pluto, the subconscious mind, entered Leo, the baby lion in 1948 and left the teenager, the apprentice, in 1968. Trump is born in 1946 and Harris is born in 1964. 46 chromosomes make When I Am 64. Apis came to being considered a manifestation of the king, as bulls were symbols of strength and fertility, qualities that are closely linked with kingship. MBBMMM, so the woman in this film is called Maria Bakalova, as we've now got Michelle Barin, the new Prime Minister. It's MB. M is 13 and B is 2, but it's also the 13. So 13 and 2 make 15. So it's about Apprentice. Is a 2024 biographical film that examines Donald Trump's career as a real estate businessman in New York. So real estate is Mercury, and New York, you know, there's the Big Apple. New York is Dutch, it's Holland. So this man is half Danish, half, I don't know why some people say he's Persian and other people say he's Iranian and Danish. So got that orange, that Dutch connection. New York is the orange. Orange is the new black. So then there were more floods. That was in Barcelona. 70 flights cancelled. That is the right-hand angle. That was a post from the 2nd of October, which basically I was talking about watch out for VC, and then we had Valencia, Catalonia. I was saying, look, it's Victoria Cross. Remember, she was killed in Villa Cotre, VC. It's all VC. There she is, with her dog, Eliza Pilasky. So that post I did in early October, and then we've got the Florida, the HLM, we've covered all that. They literally show you where it brings me back. I don't have to go all the way down again. So there, Valencia, Catalonia, Black Moon, BM, New Moon was 111. So it was for the new moon. We had Catalonian floods, and Mercury just entered Scorpio. And got MB again, Monica Bellucci, and VC, Valentine and Cupid. This is Vincent Cassel, Break Her, Cassel. Vicky Cristina, VC, it's the Victoria Cross. And there is the spider, the keeper, just as was just explained in what I read to you. Look, I love this. Wow, it takes me right back. So a smell of putrefaction. A risk of disease as flood battered Spain. So everything I had explained said that we were at the black work, which is putrefaction. That's Honey. After her operation, she survived, and I was very, very happy. So that was my November rundown. And this girl won at Podan, the pool, and she was riding D-Day, DD, Donald Duck, and she's called Caroline, and her surname was Harris. So there is something coming, and yeah, there are only 7 5-star events in the world, and the first one happened in 2018. That's when the last show of this machine was in Toulouse in 2018, and they really marked this Caroline passage between the 2 great eclipses, 2017 to 2024. And I think that we're coming, that was at the vet, so that was, see, Chloe's birthday was as Honey was being operated at the vet, so it was very weird. Cupid Valentine, yeah, just me talking about the same thing. More of that Osiris, so smart cities, we know that, and that takes us back. We've seen that. Super. So basically, we're coming up. The big news is that Saturn is going to move forwards. So it is this last leg, this 90-degree angle between Jupiter and Saturn, and now Saturn is going to get ready to move into the abyss, into the black work, into the water, into the home of the moon goddess. So from the star, Aquarius, the water bearer, into the home of the moon, the abyss, Ida, the floor of Ida. And this is a big time. So we're going to have the moon and Uranus conjunct, and they're opposites. We've got Mercury. Oh, where's Mercury? Mercury, and then Mercury is going retrograde. So we have the last quarter moon on the 23rd. The moon will be on Noonki, and then watch Mercury go retrograde. He will be for the rising of Notre Dame. So on the 6th, Mars goes retrograde in the home of the moon, stationary. So the most violent, he's only just beginning to go retrograde. And Mars is in the home of the moon. Jupiter is in the home of where the moon is exalted, Martin. They're very happy, and they're dominating this Milky Way gap. And he's on his way back, and Jupiter is on his way back to the bullseye. And they will be back for Valentine. This is all the connection. They will be back for Valentine's Day, Valencia. This is the Roman festival. This is, it's the fertility festival, the waters, the breaking of the waters. This is Tammuz, this is the little Cupid, this is to take the heart. That's why they've got the arrow in the heart. It's to kill the center, so there's only ever the top and the bottom and not the center, the heart. So that is the rising of Notre Dame. On the 8th, we're going to have Venus conjunct to Pluto. So Venus is also therefore going to be opposite Mars. They might not be exactly opposite, but Mars is going to be in Cancer, the ruler of Scorpio, and in Scorpio we're going to have the Sun and Mercury completely blinded, and Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, where we've got the South nodes. So basically it's about Esmeralda and rising the hunchback of Notre Dame, bringing in Elon Musk, the Musketeer, and that is so, you know, and the revolutionary energy, the hate, the bringing in the gangsters, the working class hero, that's Taurus, it's the working man. And that's why Spain, we saw all those men sweeping down the corridors, everybody coming with hi ho, it's off to work we go, you know, the true working man spirits. And that is the new line from France down to Spain to North Africa. And we've got China, Trump, Russia, the Orthodox energy and the Islam energy coming through Europe, Africa. And that's what I'm feeling at the moment. Okay, my darlings, well, that's 1 hour, 10 minutes. Not too bad. And I have put out in my last newsletter that for every reading booked, your second reading, you have a 20% discount, and the code is LOR, L'OR, that you put in. And yeah, I'm looking forward to you coming for readings. I'm looking for somebody to come forward for the full moon chat on Patreon. And next week I'm doing another relationship reading because the last one we had no sound. And I'm doing that with Carrie, which is going to be great. Talking about her new love. And yeah, so then we will, as always, be doing in the last tier. We do look at everybody's charts and do readings together. And what else? Then I'll have the last quarter moon chat, and I'll be doing another video just for Patreon as well. Okay, darlings, all my love. Bye for now.